Hey there and welcome back to The Full Later Life, the channel where we encourage one another to live our best lives in our 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond. And this week I actually begin my training for the Osaka Marathon next February, and it will be my third marathon in 3 years. And I kind of wish I had my YouTube channel back then when I did my first marathon, because I actually had no idea what I was doing. In fact, I'd only been running for about 4 years before then and not really done anything that kind of distance. And before that, I was just pretty much living on the couch doing nothing. So that would have been an interesting journey to watch. And if you want to check out that story, then check out my series From Fat to Fit at 50, where when I launched my channel, I documented that story. It's kind of interesting to see how I went from doing absolutely nothing to making a choice to run for hours and hours in a day. So my first marathon was in 2023, and I just remember crossing that finish line, and my time wasn't necessarily that great, but I finished it and I'm like, man, I've done that. I never need to do that again. It was painful, it was sore. And so I thought, well, if there was a bucket list, then I've now checked that item off. But you know what, after a few weeks, my brain started ticking, and then I thought, well, you know what, maybe I should do another marathon. And then I thought, well, if I'm to do another marathon, then why do the same one? And so I had this idea of doing one marathon a year, but in a different city every year. And so last year I ran in the Rome Marathon, and next year I'm going to be hitting Osaka. Why Osaka, I hear you ask? I mean, come on, why do a marathon in February in the Northern Hemisphere where it's going to be cold, it's going to be wet, it's going to be windy, and also with the crossing the date line and the jet lag, my body's going to feel like it's running at 2 a.m. The main reason is I want to do a different city every year, and this year work has been kind of slow in the film and TV business. It's like really slowed down to a crawl, and so financially things are a little strapped. But we do have to go to Japan next year because my wife's dad is getting old and he's not really doing so well in his health, and so it's a trip that we're obligated to make anyway. So I figured, well, why not combine a trip that I have to make with the marathon that I want to do at the same time. Now my other option would have been London, and I actually have family there too that I have to visit. But the odds of getting into the London Marathon are extremely low. I think there's like 1.3 million people applied for 20,000 spots, where Osaka had a much better chance of getting in. In fact, I don't even think it's a lottery there. And also, we hadn't seen my wife's dad in quite a long time. I'd seen my dad after I did Rome last year, so it was kind of his turn anyway. But let's be real here, British food versus Japanese food. I mean, seriously, in Osaka, the carb loading before the race is going to be absolutely awesome. I'm talking ramen noodles, I'm talking udon noodles, I'm talking economiyaki. I mean, that is some next level fueling right there before a race. Although I've got to say, no alcohol until I cross the finishing line because, well, I have a strict no alcohol policy about a month before a race. And that's kind of an interesting one for me because if you've seen any of my channels before, you know that I love a good craft ale. And even two of my running clubs actually meet in the brewery. So that's going to be an interesting journey upstaining, but I did it last time and I'm going to do it again. And when I cross that finishing line, it's going to be a celebration for sure. Sake, Japanese beer, maybe a Japanese whiskey.
For relaxing times, make it Suntory time.
Who knows, but it's going to be a great celebration once I cross that finish line in Osaka. And so onto my training. Well, you know, when I did my first marathon, I actually had no idea what the heck I was doing. And I'd run a couple of 10Ks and I'd done a couple of half marathons, but training for a full marathon, well, that's a whole different beast now. And so I wanted to find a plan that I knew was going to get me through it. And I found this guy called the Non-Runners Marathon Training. And I figured, well, you know what? I run quite regularly, even though I question my life choices while doing it sometimes. So if this plan can get someone off the couch to the finish line, then it should also work for me. And so I picked it up and I thought I'd give it a go. And you know what? It actually did work pretty well. I mean, the planning was actually very simple. It was just basically increase your distance over the next 14 weeks until you get to 18 miles, and then it becomes a mind game to get to 26.2. So I tried that plan out, and it worked. I got to the end finish line. Yeah, I didn't get the best time in the world, but it was my first marathon, so I had nothing to compare it against anyway. And so I thought, well, you know what? That was a great plan. It actually worked for me. And so while that plan worked for me, it really was just a case of, over the weeks, extending my distances. I had a series of runs, and the long run was just longer and longer each week. And for my second marathon, I really did want something a little bit more substantial, a bit more variety, and something that really helped my performance a little bit more. And then I actually discovered the Nike Run Club app on my phone had an audio guide curated by Coach Bennett, who is kind of like Nike's Ted Lasso, really. Anyway, they had a series of different kind of runs that would get you to a marathon, culminating in a 20-mile long run about week 14. But they also had things like speed runs and fartlek runs and interval runs and endurance runs, and so it really did give your body an entire workout. And not only that, they had lots of interesting advice that will help your mental state to get you through the mental challenges of running a marathon too. And so I found that training plan for my second marathon was way better than the one I did for my first marathon, although it did get me through it, so I can't complain about it. And as a first marathon, I would totally recommend doing the non-runner's guide. But as you would go further on into your marathon career, maybe look for something that's going to get you through and make you a better runner. And that's what a Nike Run Club app did for my Rome Marathon. And so once again, I'm going to use the same plan for the Osaka Marathon this year. And I do have to say that the audio guides in the Nike training app are actually pretty darn good. I mean, Coach Bennett has done a really good job of putting together some great coaches that will actually work in getting your mind focused as you run, especially those long runs when you're by yourself and you've got to put in the miles and the only people watching you are the squirrels in the trees that are probably judging your pace anyway. And to be in a good mind space when running long distances, that's going to make your training much more enjoyable. And so with the variety of runs and also the interactive and fun audio guides that put you in a great headspace, it actually made the training way more fun. And although it didn't really focus on things like PRs and getting faster, I actually found that my performance actually got better by putting all these techniques. I mean, sure, being able to increase your distance is one thing, but to be able to do it in a way that your body feels better, that it recovers easier, well, that was a game changer. And so I really did enjoy using the Nike Run Club app for the Rome Marathon. And so I decided I'm going to use it again for the Osaka Marathon. And I'll actually document to you guys how it all goes. And hopefully you can join me in Japan and you can run vicariously with me for the Osaka Marathon. Now, I know quite a few people watching this channel are like me, who didn't really start getting active until later in life. And you're probably wondering, are you too old to begin the training for a marathon?
Yes, too old. Yes, too old to begin the training.
Well, guess what, Yoda? You were wrong about Luke Skywalker and you're wrong about us. And so I would say, if you can put your mind to it, you can actually get through a marathon. It took me 4 years to go from couch to marathon, but I made it. And I'm pretty certain that if you can get yourself off the couch and out the door, then you can do it too. Now, of course, if you do have some medical conditions that you're concerned about, then certainly consult your doctor or primary care physician first. But if you're relatively fit and healthy and you want to cross that item off your bucket list, then I'd say go for it. You're more likely to be able to do it. Just do it gradually, start slowly. Don't worry about your times to begin with and just have fun doing it. And you'll be able to run a marathon like I am. In fact, now I'm on my third and maybe I'll do a fourth or a fifth. That's my plan at the moment. Let's see how it goes. So once again, thank you for joining me on this journey of living a full later life. And I'd really love you to come and join me on this journey of training for the Osaka Marathon, and maybe you could come up to Japan with me, or at least vicariously through these videos. And if someone's ever told you that you're too old to begin training for something or do something, have you ever overcome that and said, well, I'm going to do it anyway? Well, if you do, put those stories in the comments, because they'll be so much fun for us all to read, and it will encourage us, every one of us, to get off the couch and do something spiritual for ourselves. Anyway, like and subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you again in the next video.